This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's almost Valentine's Day, and not everyone's looking forward to it. Welcome to Family Life's Inside Out, where we look at how God transforms his people from the inside out. I'm Martha Manikas-Foster, and today I'm talking with Lisa Anderson. We're here to talk about how a day dedicated to romantic love can be difficult for people who are single. Author, radio host, and podcaster Lisa Anderson is Focus on the Family's Director of Young Adults and Boundless Ministry. Welcome, Lisa, to Inside Out.
Martha, it's so great to be here.
You work with single adults through Focus on the Family's Young Adult and Boundless Ministry. In broad terms, how do you find that Christian single people view Valentine's Day? And does the age of the single person make a difference in what their perspective is?
Yeah, generally I think there's kind of this collective meh about it. It's one of those things, and I say as a single person myself, I feel like we see the commercialization of so many things and kind of flying upon us, whether through Hallmark or whatever, and all the stores, putting stuff out there, trying to capitalize on it. We're kind of coming through this holiday trifecta of horribleness, I say, for singles. So we've navigated Christmas, then we had to go into New Year's, and then now Valentine's Day. And it's just like, will it never end? And will I be forever reminded of my relationship status and what all that entails? And so I would say younger singles, for the most part, they tend to think, okay, well, maybe it's just not my time. I'm working on my career. I've got a lot of other things going on. But certainly as singles get older, especially if they wish to be married, it can be a really tough season. And in thinking specifically of those who maybe have gone through a really tough breakup, who are entering the new year thinking or praying or hoping that this year is going to be different, that maybe their situation will change. So there can be a lot of angst around it.
So we know as people who love Jesus Christ that our identity is wrapped up in how he views us. But why, Lisa, why can that not feel like enough when all the emphasis everywhere all the time seems to point to what others have and you may want?
Sure. Well, and I think that's just part of it. I mean, I think there is this culture of what is this person over there doing that I'm not doing? What do they have that I don't have? I mean, it's obviously covetousness, which we're warned against in Scripture, and it can affect all of us. But I think we tend to sometimes overinflate even romantic love, even within church circles. So many singles who are involved in churches, and of course we must be. I always tell my single friends, you need to be in a local church. You have to have community. It's not something that's not for you. Right. But many churches are programmed for marriages and for families, and so it can be a hurtful place for singles. And so I think it's one of those things where we have to look and realize, okay, who is God? Who does he say I am? What does it mean that I am single? What does that mean for me? Because I often have to remind myself, my singleness is not the biggest thing about me. Just like a married person's marriage isn't the biggest thing about them. So what is God calling of me, in this season, and how can I really live it out joyfully?
And do you think that maybe a little bit of a break from the past, is it possible that young people are being raised up in the church to recognize that marriage is not the only destination that they have in their lives? Or do you think that that's still inculcated in people in Sunday school and youth group?
I think it tends to be inculcated not only in direct teaching, but also in people just making assumptions around the fact that, oh, well, maybe, you're not quite complete until you're married. You're not quite mature until you're married. It's kind of a syndrome that I call singles at the kids' table. Yeah. This idea that, maybe singles don't have as much to offer or contribute as others. And I think we've got to change that narrative because we're all called to service and sacrifice. We're all offering unique giftings, unique perspectives. And so as the body of Christ, we have to support that in one another.
Sure. And if we want to be scriptural, that's certainly a destination for us, isn't it, with the Apostle Paul? So let me just reset and give people a chance to know what we're talking about and who I'm talking with. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Inside Out on Family Life. I'm talking today with author, radio host, and podcaster Lisa Anderson. So Lisa, we could be trained up in the right way, very scripturally. We could know the right things about God and how he is so core to who we are and what our identity is. But that might not always make us feel better. Have you learned some concrete strategies that might make Valentine's Day, or maybe the whole trifecta, for unattached single people a little bit more comfortable on that day?
Sure. I think there are a few things that have really helped me over the years. And one of those is, you mentioned the trifecta. Any of these holidays are a time where people kind of put a line in the sand and say, we're celebrating this, and this is about something that you currently don't have. I say, don't let Valentine's Day hit you like the flu. Okay, so don't go into it with a negative attitude where, so many singles are like, oh, it's really sad, Singles Awareness Day. That's what I'm calling this. Because again, yeah, sure, it's made to be a romantic holiday, but who says? I mean, again, it's the greeting card companies, it's entertainment media, it's all of that, the people who are seeking to make money off of it. And so, I think it's very helpful for us to say instead, wow, what can I do with this day? What does it look like for me to celebrate what God has given me and the relationships I do have? And so I'm a big proponent, first of all, of the Galentines, the friends gatherings, the opportunity that we have to maybe look outside ourselves and encourage other people. So one example for me is I am a huge lover of the elderly, Martha. They are my jam. So some people are about kids, some people love pets and all that. I love older people, and I have a group of widows that I love and I kind of care for and have my arm around, and so I'll have them over for a movie and for dinner. And these are women who often just don't have people in their lives. Maybe their kids aren't nearby or whatever, and so that's an opportunity to bless someone else. I would also say, and I don't want to underemphasize this, it's also okay to grieve where you are right now. I think too often we put a happy face on our sorrows, especially around singleness and what we're hoping for, when really the psalmist tells us to pour out our complaint to God. And so, that's why it's like, wow, okay, pour out your complaint to God, because he's the one who actually cares and certainly can do something about it. Don't pour out your complaint to the person you wish you were dating or to the person who broke up with you. That won't do you much good. But it is okay to grieve. If your heart is feeling like you want to be married or you're grieving a lost relationship, it is okay to acknowledge that and to give it over to the Lord, but also to ground yourself in truth and recognize that this is not your worst day. This is not the biggest thing about you. And you can really move forward confidently in so many other things that you are about.
I hear you. So you talked about gathering people together, and in your case, you're gathering other single women who are widows together. But are there ways that a single person's engaged and married friends can be of a help and not a hindrance on Valentine's Day and the days around it?
I think they absolutely can, and this has been such an example to me as well. I have a dear coworker from the past who, she and her husband, one time on Valentine's Day, called me up and said, Lisa, we're going out for dinner and a movie. Jeremy, her husband, he wants to treat you too, so come along with us and join us. And that enfolding of your single friends in a holiday, whether it's Valentine's Day or just any day, is so encouraging to recognize, like, hey, I see you. Maybe it is for Valentine's Day, sending someone a card or sending them flowers at work so that they're recognized and seen as well. Or maybe it's just giving a text or a call. Or maybe it's just talking about something that they can engage in as well. I often say this when I'm talking about folks with single people, is level the playing field. Maybe ask them about the next vacation they're anticipating, or how things are going at work, or how their nieces and nephews are and what they're doing with them. So it just kind of gives them an opportunity to win in a space where otherwise they wouldn't have much to say.
They wouldn't win. They wouldn't be able to even to participate. Yes,
exactly.
I hear what you're saying. Well, thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for participating in this conversation, for joining me here and adding your wisdom here today on Inside Out.
Well, my privilege, Martha.
My guest has been author, radio host, and podcaster Lisa Anderson, director of Young Adults and Boundless Ministry for Focus on the Family. You can connect with Boundless by going to boundless.org. I'm Martha Manikas-Foster with Inside Out on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.